Welcome to Ethical Content Network, where our motto is follow the leader or be one. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, Jeff, the unqualified leader, and I appreciate that. Let's talk about it. A lot of people don't want to do it, but us here, we gonna talk about it. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So, I would like to say I went to the encyclopedia, the dictionary, but I went to Google. I'm not even gonna lie. So let's dig into this phrase, right? This phrase implies the great responsibilities given to a king who worries constantly. This phrase also means a person in charge or in a leadership role has many responsibilities, and it's a very tough job. These leaders could influence people to do the right things, but on the flip side, they could also influence people to do the wrong things, right? So King Henry expresses that the crown is so uncomfortable and heavy that it does not let him sleep at night. This is a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's so much responsibility heaped onto him, so much pressure, that I'm sure it's hard for him to sleep at night. It should, for any great leader, it should be tough to sleep at night because you should have so much on you, so much expectations from your crew, from your squad, and from yourself, right? It should be a little bit of a burden. But everybody wants to be the king. Everybody wants to be the boss. Everybody wants to be the head honcho. Everybody wants to be the king of the jungle. So with all this being said, all these unqualified words, let's talk about the old lion. Let's talk about it. God willing, the young lion becomes the old lion. But for being born a lion, the king of the jungle, for being that leader of the pride, for reigning over the whole thing, there's a price to pay. And I want you all to remember there's always a price to pay. When you're up on high, you can always come down. When you're down low, you can always come up. But there's always a price to pay for either falling or rising. Nothing's free. So let's talk about the old lion who lost his pride. I'm going to show some pictures. They're not for the faint of heart. I'm not going to stay on them too long. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to leave the article in the description. So if you want to go on your own and just kind of scan and take a little more of a longer look, feel free. But I'm trying to keep it, PG-13, as clean as I can. I'm not trying to promote animal cruelty or anything like that, or trying to be vicious. I'm just trying to show reality of what happens to the old lion. Okay. These heartbreaking images show the final moments of a frail old lion who was once king of his land before he starved to death. He was kicked out of his pride and became emaciated after the protection and food that his family used to provide was stripped away. The lion, known as Skybed Scar, was well known in Kruger National Park in South Africa, where he was pictured. I'm going to scroll through a couple pictures. King of the jungle. The old lion used to be the young lion. Now he's the old lion, man. Come on, man. Heartbreaking. These pictures were captured by Larry Pannell, 64, from South. Ooh, not South Africa, is he? He's from California. Look at that. Pardon me. In his blog, he described coming across the lion, who he initially saw drinking from a watering hole. After he had his fill of water, he struggled to his feet, hardly able to stand. What you did not notice while he was drinking, he was literally skin and bones. He describes how, as the lion moved away from the water, he staggered as if he was drunk towards a small rise, trying to catch his breath every few steps. After reaching the rise, He began slowly descending to the ground, but eventually collapsed. It was evident he was in his last days, if not his last hours on Earth, he said. After a while, Larry and a friend drove over where the lion had come to rest. We found him lying in the grass, exhausted, unable to move. We were no more than 5 feet from him as he lay, passing away in the shade of a tree. Add insult to injury. He's getting run off from a spot by the elephant. Nature is cruel. But you already know. Shout out to Bobby Brown. Don't be cruel. But the lion would probably do the same to you. So, you know, what you gonna do? So anyway, dropping my camera, we stared at one another, locking eyes for what seemed for an eternity. I just wanted him to know that he would not pass away alone as he struggled to breathe, his chest rising only ever so often. Then a last twitch of his ear, his last breath. He was gone. The king was gone. He later said, I knew that I was witnessing something very special, nature, the real nature, both life and death. I sat with him only a few feet away, locking eyes and starting. Look at this. See, y'all gonna think I can't read, but it's a typo. Okay, locking eyes, staring, not starting, as it says, staring at one another as I watched for an hour as the life leave his body. I'm gonna correct that, as the life left his body. You know, I wanted him to know he would not pass away alone. Not wanting to sound crass, I remember when my grandmother was in the hospital and I visited her for the last time the night she passed. We did not say a word. Both of us just knew this was the end, and we just stared at each other, locking eyes. This is the first time since then that I felt the same feeling, connecting with another being on a spiritual level, just knowing. While most big cats live solitary lives, except for when they raise young, lions are the only big cats to live in family units. The social structure of the pride is based on specific roles, with lionesses, the primary hunters, and dominant males responsible for protecting the pride's territory. At around 2 or 3 years old, young males leave the pride and attempt to take over another's pride. Fighting till the one of them passes away occur occasionally, and many a male in his prime have fallen, acquiring or defending a pride. Male lions frequently leave the pride after losing a fight to a challenger, and it is likely the lion in these photos suffered that fate. Surviving losers often become nomads and have to fend for themselves to lose weight and scavenge more than they hunt as they grow older. Now listen, this is reality. This is the old lion. This is the king of the jungle. This is the boss. This is what happens. Okay? This is what happens. Now let's go over. We're going to switch over. So now we're going to switch over to a poem. And this poem is by Lance Collette. I believe that's how you say it. Colette. I don't know. But it's entitled Old Lions Pass Away Alone. Old lions die alone. Once he had been king. He had lazed while others hunted, and still gorged himself on the choice bits of prey. He had snarled, and others obeyed, for his regality spoke for itself. His violent potential had been palpable, but there was no need to unleash tooth or claw. Until the flame of the usurper flared up, and he was called to action, and he was driven away, and his cubs were eaten, and his legacy vanished. Now he lays again, a king without a throne, indifferent to the vultures, for he had always known the natural end to any reign. Old lions die alone. Hopefully you're still here. Hopefully you didn't leave yet. But I don't ask much because I'm unqualified. I'm not qualified to ask for much. But I need you to like, comment, and subscribe. I would appreciate that. But above all else, if you don't do nothing else, I need you to do one thing for me. Keep it ethical.